Hello and welcome to the Kniterary. I'm Katie and today I'm excited to give you my June updates. I feel like I have a lot to share today, so buckle in. This is probably going to be a longer episode, which is probably exciting to some, and some people probably won't click on it because it's longer, which is totally fine. And so I'll try to keep it succinct, but we will see. I'll start with what I am wearing, and that is the Annecy tee by November Knits. This is a recent finished object, and I knit this up in Duo by Sandnes Garn. And so watch the previous episodes if you want to see what I thought of this if you didn't hear those. But in general, for me, this was a fine knit. I love knitting a stockinette project, but Duo is not my favorite yarn to work with, and so I just didn't love the process of this, primarily because I don't like working with Duo. I know a lot of people like this yarn, so if you do, throw that in the comments so people can hear other opinions on it. But for me, I just do not enjoy working with it. I find it kind of like sticky. It doesn't like slide. It's just very rigid. And so even though it does have that merino in it, it's just not the yarn for me. So I don't know the next time I'll be knitting with Duo. I really do like the fabric it creates. In some yarns, it's worth it to me to have the bad knitting process for the finished garment. I don't know if that's the case for Duo or not. I'll probably come back to it someday, but it probably won't be anytime soon. So all in all though, I do like this project and this pattern. It's a great summer knit, and I've been able to throw on this white tee a couple times, and so that's been nice. If I were to knit it again after wearing it a couple times, I probably would change the finishing on the sleeves, the neck, and the body to not be 1x1 rib. I just don't think it's super neat in this yarn and the gauge. And so that's just one thing I would maybe change if I were to knit it again. With that, I'll get into my finished objects. And first I have one that was on the needles last time, which is the Ingrid Summer Sweater by Gregoria Fibers. I knit this in Candide by Rerum Natura, which is a wool yarn it's a wool blend. There's a couple different things in there. And I just love the color on this one and kind of that variation in the yarn. I loved working with the yarn. I loved working up the pattern. It worked up very fast. And you're supposed to use a summer yarn in this, and I didn't. And I think it's totally fine using this wool blend yarn over a linen or a cotton or anything. I've had no issues, I don't think, from doing that. And I've already got a few wears out of this. So I talked about this last time about how I would love this one at Sunset at the Beach as well. I haven't worn this one to a Sunset at the Beach, but I have worn it to a couple different occasions that it was absolutely perfect for. And so I'm glad I've already got some wear out of this one because this will not be a winter garment for me. The only thing on this, and I don't know if this is a pattern, maybe this is the issue with it being wool, primarily in the body, but a little bit in the sleeves when I wear it, it kind of bunches up a little bit. So when I blocked it, these all spread out, in between the eyelets spread out, but sometimes when I'm wearing it, it does cinch up a little bit. And I don't know if it's because how you do the pearl border, or if it's just, that's what you're gonna get in this type of textured knit. And so I knit it a little bit shorter. Like when I tried it on, I was like, oh, this will be fine, because when I pulled it down, it was good. And I was like, yeah, it will block down. And it does fit, and especially like if I just like pull it down a little bit, it will stay for a little while. But I just would not err too short knowing that. So I think I hit the perfect length, but just something to be aware of, that it does kind of cinch back up as you wear it. Other than that, I think the only modification that I made was all the edges. I did the bind off where you knit two together through the back loop and then slip it back on, knit two together through the back loop. And I think that looks so nice. I don't love a traditional or an Italian bind off on summer yarns. And I keep saying this is not a summer yarn, but I've been finding this one looks so neat, and kind of on these summer garments, I feel like it looks a lot neater. And so that's kind of been my go-to bind off recently on some of these items that I've been making. I talked pretty at length last time about some issues in the pattern that I attribute to it being translated poorly. And so if you're thinking about making this, you might just want to cure my qualms with the pattern, but the construction and everything like that is good. The finished object is good, but I did have to do a good amount of deciphering, which I don't generally love. And especially when you pay for a pattern, like you hope to be able to understand it and not be trying to figure out what they mean. And so I know that there are several other patterns out there that kind of give this vibe. Andrea Gahn just came out with one that's pretty similar. But I just really loved how like defined these eyelets were, and just the one row of eyelets. And so not mad I made this one, but if you're a beginner, this is your first eyelet pattern or textured knit, maybe opt for something else first. So that is the Ingrid summer sweater. Then I think I talked about this a while ago, but it wasn't cast on in the last one, and I kept thinking, oh, I have this to make, but also not counting it as like an object to make, because I was like, it's gonna knit up so fast. And that is the Montpellier top by November Knits. I bought both of these patterns on a sale that she was doing on all her patterns, and then I got the yarn. This is in the Tykk Line by Sandnes Garn, knit on 5.5 millimeter needles. I don't know the last time I've used my large cables for my Tiago needles, but this one needed it. This yarn was fine to work with. I preferred it over the Duo for sure. And the object is really nice in general. I have not picked it up to wear very much. I've put it on twice and taken it off, which is not really a good sign. I have worn it once, but then I've taken it off twice. And it hasn't been a finished object that long. But one thing is that the armhole is just really deep. So it cuts to way down here. And so sometimes I'm just like, it's kind of hard to decide how to style it or wear it or what you're gonna wear under it, because it shows so much of your underarm. So that is something that you might be able to edit if you wanted to. And then we have had a huge heat wave in the Midwest, and this is still a pretty heavy garment, even though it's mostly linen. And so I think that's also just one reason I've taken it off a couple times. And so I hope I get more wear out of this, but I did knit this in a weekend. I started late Friday night, and then it was blocking Sunday afternoon. So if you want a quick win, or you want one more summer knit, but you don't want to put a ton of time into it because you don't wear your summer knits a lot, this could be a great pattern for you. I did do that knit two together bind off on this one as well, and the bottom, and I think it just looks so much better on the linen. I have issues with my linen bind offs not looking that great. And then you do a slip stitch at the end here, so you actually don't have to pick up stitches. You work this edging with the pattern, which was amazing because you finish the body and all you have to do is the neckline and you're done. No sleeves, no armhole finishing, so that's great. I do love this ribbing detail underneath the arm hole. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see that. Might have to just throw in a photo of me wearing it with that side detail. So really do like the pattern. Hope I get more wear out of it, but loved how fast this knit up. It just felt like a quick win. So that was great. My last finished object is, if you've been following along, I have been working on finishing a few garments that a friend's grandma could not finish any longer. And so I think she was going through some stuff, found these and asked if I would be willing to finish them. And so I was like, yeah, I'll give it a try and see what we can do here. So I already finished the other one, and then this one I had outstanding. This one took a lot more work than the other one. The last one I just had to do some seaming. But it's this ski sweater, and I've showed the pattern in my first podcast episode, and it's really cute, like the pattern, looking at it and just like seeing all the ski sweaters. It's in a little booklet. But what I had to do for this one is the front panel was done, both the sleeves were done, and one sleeve was half seamed onto the garment. And then there was this separate back panel, but it was the wrong size for the rest of everything that was already made. So I ended up having to knit up this whole back panel and then seam everything together and then do the neck. I think I got my gauge very close. This is probably the best way I'm going to be able to show it. From here, this is the front and this is the back. And so I did this whole back panel, and I feel like I hit the gauge really closely. And it was very confusing how you do this armhole shaping and all of this to make it line up exactly. Because it was already partially seamed, I couldn't exactly tell how the front was shaped, and you're supposed to do it the same. And so by measurement, not by rows. And so it was a little difficult to like make sure that I got exactly the right measurements, but I blocked it, tried it on. The sleeves are very long on it, but other than that, it's actually a really great garment, and I think it has a really nice fit for it. And so I'm so glad to have this done. I don't think this is something that I would do again. If somebody else asked, I would probably say no, unless it was a very specific situation that I felt like I should do it. But it was a fun little challenge, and I am glad I did it. I just think I prefer knitting something from start to finish, and kind of coming into the middle of somebody else's project and figuring out wasn't my favorite process. But I learned that in doing it. So super excited to text her and let her know that I finished this. And so that'll be really exciting to hand these back and have it checked off my checklist as well. So all those finished objects, and I still have a bunch of whips. So the last episode I only had 2 whips, and I was like, this is very rare for me. Expect more next time. Like, just know that I'm somebody who normally has multiple projects on the needles, because I like to be able to pick up different things in different settings. And so I'm not going to disappoint. I have a lot of whips. So first I have the Sandro pullover, and this I was convinced to make because Paige over at 2 Pearls in a Pod made this, and I'm just obsessed with her version. And I almost knit it in the Dusty Artichoke that she knitted in, and then I decided not to. I decided to make it in this navy. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see this at all, because I'm doing a textured knit on navy and with mohair, and so I might have to put a photo with really great lighting for you to be able to see the cables on this. But I think it's going to be so classy as a finished object. It's such a classy design with the every other navy or cables. And I think in the navy, it's really just going to kind of give that Ralph Lauren vibe. So I'm super excited. I feel like this will be a really timeless one. I've loved knitting it. I don't have any qualms with the pattern. I've made no modifications. I have it in the round, but I'm not very far in once I've connected the front and the back. And, oh, what am I knitting this in? This is knitting for Olive Merino and Soft Silk Mohair in their navy blue. And so the only thing that's going to be kind of funny about this is my husband has a thrifted sweater. It's an amazing sweater. So I don't know where it's from, in this exact design. Now the cables are smaller and the lines are smaller, and so we'll just have to make sure that we don't wear these on the same day, or we will be completely twinning. And it'll be really funny because I made one and I didn't make the other one. But it is kind of funny, just that it's funny seeing this exact design in a garment that's probably very old, and then also seeing this new knitting pattern come out in this design. So I'm not in a rush to finish this, as I'm not going to be able to wear it anytime soon. So I always kind of like having that. I love rushing on a project and like trying to see when I can get it done, but it's also nice to have projects that are just kind of like, oh, I'll just work on this, slowly chip away, and then all of a sudden you have a garment when the weather goes back to being appropriate for it. So that's the Sandro pullover. I'll keep you updated on it, and I'll probably throw in a photo. Speaking of chipping away, I started my big chipping away project that I thought was going to be a chipping away project, and it's actually working up way faster than I thought it would. And I actually have kind of like not been working on the Sandro pullover very much because I cannot stop working my Brioche Bliss jacket. And so this is in the, oh gosh, I don't know how to pronounce the yarn name, Gilliat or Gilliat. By Rerum Natura as well, in the color Eucalyptus. And I'll just show the back so you can see it is just so soft, so lofty. I am so obsessed. I love how dry and matte this yarn looks. I'm absolutely obsessed with that. I'm hoping it holds up really well because I love it. I love working with it. I love the look of it. and everything. So this is my first brioche project, and it did not disappoint. One, way easier than I expected. I haven't done any brioche in the round yet, so that'll come when we get to the sleeves. But I have actually already purchased yarn for the September sweater by Petite Knit so that I can have a brioche sweater as well, because I am loving working this and I love the look of it. So this is hopefully an encouragement to some of you to cast on that brioche pattern you've been thinking about. I did drop one stitch and have to go back 6 rows because I could not figure out how to pick it up, and it got to the point where I probably, like, if I had figured it out, I still think you would see it. Like, I feel like sometimes when you drop a stitch just in stockinette, if you play with it too much, you can kind of see that, and usually it blocks out. I did not want to play any games with it not blocking out nicely, and I had like stretched out the yarn so much that I just took out like 6 rows manually. And part of the reason I don't think I could figure it out is I had a really hard time finding a tutorial for picking up a brioche stitch that was not in 2 colors, and so not two-toned brioche. So if anybody has a video tutorial on how to pick up a stitch, a brioche dropped stitch, please let me know, and tag that video in the comments, because I would love that backup so that if this happens again, I'm ready to go and I can pick up the stitch and I don't have to spend all my time just taking out brioche. So happy with this. That being said, the pattern, I do not love the pattern. It is pretty confusing to read, and my main qualm is that it often says, do this as the video shows. And I just don't want to watch a video to learn how to do it. I want to read the instructions, and so I just don't like that I keep having to open up YouTube videos. And this happens a lot in the beginning, and then now I'm on the body, and of course I'm not doing it on the body. And so I haven't had to do that in a while, but at the beginning I felt like I kept having to open up YouTube videos to figure out how to do stuff, and I wish it just said how to do it. And then so the buttonholes are technically on the wrong side for a female garment, and this isn't really that big of a deal. You know, a lot of, you know, it doesn't really matter that much because there's plenty of garments where you do have the buttonholes on the left side, but I've never knit them on the left side, which is just kind of funny. Anyways, the top buttonhole here is in the ribbing for the neckband. And in the pattern it says, do the buttonhole as the video says. And then it says, actually, that buttonhole made it too small. Just double yarn over. Doesn't explain how to do it, doesn't explain what you're supposed to do, just says, just do a double yarn over so that's big enough. Nowhere was it described how you should do the buttonhole. So that was the main one where I was like, okay, refilm the video or write in the instructions. That would have been immensely helpful. I did what I thought it meant, and I think I'll be fine on the size of the buttonhole. But just playing a guessing game right at the beginning of a pattern wasn't super fun. That being said, you can get all the instructions you need. It wasn't like the Ingrid summer sweater where I actually had to decipher it really down. This is just, you have to read so carefully, and it's like formatted a little funky, and then the video thing. You can get all the information you need out of this pattern. And so this is my first time knitting brioche, and I feel completely fine with it, and I wouldn't not recommend it to somebody who's never knit brioche before. It's nothing like that. And I feel like the design is just so, like the construction and the design, I think it's going to end up such a beautiful garment that also just makes it worth it to me. And so I think that's great. The last thing I'll say about this one for now is just the pattern also does come with a V-neck version. And so I do like that you can make that modification. All the instructions are in there for the V-neck or the O-neck, which I opted for because I am going for that Cézanne look. That pink cardigan that they have other colors, but I feel like the pink one is the iconic one, and so that's where I'm going. And then I also love you do work obviously the button band as you knit down, so I think that's going to be super nice at the end. not having to go back, pick up stitches. But because brioche is essentially a double knit, you only knit on one side. As well as that double knit button band, you can do those together. So that is amazing. I've been loving working on this. So excited to share the updates when they come. My last, oh, never mind. Just kidding. This is not my last whip. This is my Cumulus T O-neck by Petite Knit in Tynn Line, and it's very awkward to show right now because I'm only about 10 rows away from splitting off the sleeves, so it's all scrunched up. But this is my second white tee. I wanted a lighter weight white tee as soon as I finished this, so cast this one on. But it is my travel project, and so I only work on this when I'm traveling, and so it mainly sits in a little pouch, and then when I hop on a plane, I take it out and I knit for that week or a couple days on this. And so hasn't got a ton of love, I don't think, since the last podcast, but yeah, I really do love knitting on 3mm fingering weight. So I don't have anything to say about this, but I just felt like I should bring it up because I did have one trip, I think, since the last podcast, so I did work on it a little bit. So that doesn't count because it's only my travel project, right? And so I have these 2 textured knits, and I really do like to have something that I can just like pick up and knit when I'm at an event or socializing with people. And so during my knitting times, like I'm sitting down to knit, I'm knitting on the Sandro or this Brioche Bliss. But I didn't have anything on the needles that, you know, I can bring when I'm having a drink with a friend or I'm in the car or something. So just yesterday, I cast on another Monday sweater by Petite Knit. This is one of my favorite patterns. It's one of my favorite garments. I have 2 of them and I wear them all the time. And I have said it before, but I will say it again. I hope one day to have a stack of Mondays in a bunch of different colors. Just as people find their favorite crew neck sweater or V-neck sweater and they buy a couple colors in it, that's going to be the Monday for me. So I love working the round, I love working the raglan, all of it. Things I'm doing differently on this one. One, I added a few rows in the neckline. The first one I made, the neckband is super, like, it stretches out a lot with all that weight from the raglan. And so I have just made this thicker, and that helped a lot. On the second one I made, I did this. This is the red sweater, if anybody knows the red sweater that I have, Monday. And then on that one, on the red Monday as well, I did 5 raglan stitches instead of 3. That's written in the pattern. And so I did that again because I love that thicker raglan. I also think it helps a little bit with the neckline issue. And so that's great. And then I am making the medium for this one. In the red Monday, I knit the small. And the gray one, I think I knit the extra small, but I wrote it down nowhere, so I literally have no idea. And I guess I could count the stitches, but I probably won't. So, and the first one I did in a weird yarn combination, so it's not like a direct translation to the second one, so I don't think even setting it on top is really an accurate depiction. I guess I could see if they're the same size, though. Anyways, I wanted it to be a little oversized, so I am making the medium, and I think this is just a fun pattern for me to kind of experiment with fit and positive ease and everything, because I know I love it. And so I think I'll definitely wear it if it's bigger. I know how it fits currently, and so super excited. Failed to mention the yarn combo and color here, which is actually kind of exciting. This is Knitting for Olive Merino, held with soft silk mohair, so same as the Sandro pullover. This is one of my favorite my favorite yarn combinations, but it is in their new color Eucalyptus. So I'll try and hold this up so that you can see a little bit better. And I really do love the color. I think it's going to be great, but I'm going to hold these up. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on camera or not. The green, the merino is a little bit more green than the mohair is. The mohair has a little bit more of a blue halo and tint. And so when you knit them together, it's a little bit more blue than what this is. And I really do like this. And so as you decide to knit Eucalyptus, if you want to, their new colorway, I would probably opt next time, if you want this more greenish hue, I would maybe go with a different mohair. But obviously this is the one that matches. It looks great in the garment. I'm trying to hide my face. But it does have a little bit more of a bluish hue than I thought it would have when I saw just this merino. And the elephant in the room, Katie, you only ever knit one color at a time. Yeah, I guess I do. I thought that these would be more different than they are, but because that mohair has the bluish hue, they're literally the same. And they are both called Eucalyptus, so that's actually pretty impressive that these two different yarn brands from different countries matched their eucalyptus colors so well. But I guess if nothing else, I'll have a eucalyptus cardigan and I'll have a eucalyptus sweater, so I'll be all set on the eucalyptus colorway in my wardrobe, which will be exciting. So just know in a few months when I'm only knitting browns, don't forget, at one point I was only knitting blue and blue greens, so it's just a phase thing for me, I guess. So thank you so much for being here and following along. I have one more thing that I would love some help on if you have a little bit more time and want to stick along, but if I know some people are not interested in other, it's still a knitting thing, but it's just not a whip or a finished object. And so if you have to go, goodbye. Thank you for being here. If you're willing to help me, one of my favorite knits, the Amelie by Petite knit. This is Matcha and Sunday by Sandnes Garn in wheat knitting for Olive. Just want to make sure I get that out of the way. I had a tragedy today. I was actually wearing this all day and my bind off is coming unraveled right here. And so this is the stitch that I can pick up that stitch and see it. I am wondering if anybody has advice on how to finish this neatly with this mess. I could pick up these stitches and then pick them all back up. I'll maybe even try to put in a photo on this. But I still don't feel like I'm going to be able to get a really neat bind off. I don't know. It's a very traditional bind off where you just knit and then slip one over, knit and then slip one over. So I can pick up this stitch right here. I'm just wondering if anybody has advice on how to do that or what you think I should do, as I love this knit and I'm so sad that I had to take it off because I don't want that bind off to unravel any further. And so help. But with that, I'm for real done, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. It's been so much fun sharing what I'm doing and hearing what other people are working on. And so definitely drop what you're working on in the comments. It's fun to hear if people are doing some summer knits or if you just knit your winter wardrobe throughout the summer. And so please let me know. But thank you so much. And if you want to see when I post next, make sure to subscribe.